Hey guys, welcome to the Floral POS. In this video, we're going to show you our new permissions that we set for passwords. This is version 4.0.18, released October 2016. And what we did is we've been hearing a lot of feedback from you guys regarding the system. And with the new payment screen being released, we require a password to delete payments. So what we did is we went ahead and made it so that now you guys can change that password if you need to on the fly, which you couldn't before. You had to actually ask us to change it for you. And we also made it so that you can actually toggle off what requires a password and what doesn't. So right now, currently, the way it stands, let's go ahead and take a look at the permissions. So if we go into Control Panel, go into System Management, and then Employee Manager, there's an area in here called Permissions. Now permissions basically allows it so you guys can lock down every area of the program, down all the icons. So this permissions manager can actually be set up so that nobody can get to it except for an administrator. But that's actually a different video. So if you go into Employee Permissions Manager and then you click on Main, there's a new area in here called Password Setup. Now this is your admin password. You can set it to whatever you want to. I have it set to Buffalo Bills because we live in Buffalo. But you can make that whatever you want to. Now that password's going to be whenever you get prompted for a password, other than like to log in as the user. If you get prompted for a password to change a date on an order, delete an order, delete a payment, delete a refund, add funds to a gift card with no payment, or add funds to store credit with no payment, this is the password that you would get prompted for. Now what we've done here is we made it so that you can actually set up, for example, like the administrator. If I click on the administrator up top here, you're going to see that the administrator basically has all these toggled on, meaning that they are exempt. They don't need a password to do any of this stuff. Whereas if I click on the cashier here, the cashier needs a password. So no matter if it comes to changing a date or deleting an order, it's going to prompt the cashier for a password, which will be this password. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So let me show you an example of that. So I have two users. So if we go into our employee config, I have myself set up as an admin, and I have Joey Croft here, our other technician, set up as a cashier. All right. So Joey, in essence, can't really do anything without a password, and my guy can. So let's do an example of that. So let's go into our order browser. I'm logging as myself right now, and I'm going to go into an actual order, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the delete button up here to delete the order. I wasn't prompted for the deletion. It automatically presented this window to me. Okay, so if I do the same exact thing as Joey, I got to log in with Joey's password, and we go back into the order browser and back into that same order. If I go to hit delete, it's now prompting me for a password to delete that, which would be the Buffalo Bills password. Oops, I put the wrong password in. There you go. Now he can actually delete it. So that's one area. Another area also is the payment area. So if I unlock this and go into payment, before, this is exactly what we had before. This says actually no change. If you go to hit delete, it's now going to ask for a password for Joey because he's not permitted to delete it without a password. But if I go back in and log in as myself with the administrator permissions, and I go in to delete that same payment, and now it doesn't ask me for a password. It says, hey, it just prompts me, hey, delete this cash payment. I can hit yes, it's going to delete it. So that holds true for basically everywhere in the program. So let's say I wanted to change a date. So we go into an order here for delivery, and I'm going to change this date. Before, no matter what, we required a password. So if I click on this, it automatically says order date change enabled, and now I can actually change it without a password because I'm admin. All right. So if I go out of here, go back in as Joey, start a delivery order, and I go to change this, now it requires a password to do that stuff. So I think it's a really good way for you guys to kind of lock down and use a password when need be. Again, these things can be toggled. So like maybe, for example, you want the your cashier or whatever permissions you guys set for your user, you want them to be able to delete a payment without a password, right? So you could actually essentially create a new group, and inside of here you could say, okay, this particular group can delete an order and they can change the order date or an invoice date. But we don't want them to do anything else without a password. In essence, basically your manager will have to come over and type the password in for them. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of a neat little thing we did. I created this because we were getting a lot of feedback. People didn't want a password for deleting payments. I believe there should be a password for deleting payments just because of the fact that you don't want just anybody deleting payments and kind of ruining your accounting for the day or for the month or for whatever. A couple other areas that you need a password. For example, not really a password, but more a permission thing that we just did is the time clock. Or if you notice, if I go into time clock here, this is now available. I can go into the time clock administration without a password. But if I'm logged in with a guy that doesn't have permissions to get there, now you can see that this is grayed out and Joey can't get there because he don't have permissions to get to the time clock admin. Let's see what else. Oh, in Credit Manager, select my customer. In Credit Manager also, if you're going to go ahead and do like a deposit for $50 and then you selected no payment, you see how it's asking for a password at this point, which would be the Buffalo Bills password. But if you have a user that has permissions, and I log in here and go to do the credit with no payment, it doesn't ask me for a password. It automatically allows you to do that without the password, which is pretty neat. Tons of other areas that you can, you know, wherever you guys can think of that had a password before. One of the main things also is invoice payments. If you're inside of here and you want to delete this, see, it's not requiring me to have a password to delete that particular payment. But again, if I log in as Joey, it's kind of just repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. I'm just logging in as the user has permissions and logging in as the user has permissions. If I go back in invoice payment again and I go to delete this payment, now it requires a password. So alrighty, so that's basically what I wanted to show you. So kind of an overview. We made it so that now your passwords are changeable. So you can go ahead and change the password for the administrator, which you couldn't before. And then also we made it so that you can actually select what requires a password and what doesn't inside your employee permissions. Under here you can actually set the password up, and now you can change and set all these up and toggle them based on what you want to allow the user to do and not do based on the permissions they're selected with. If you have any questions, definitely go ahead and give us a call at 888-865-9768. You can email us at support@thefloralpos.com, or you can always click on our little smiley face and send us some feedback. All right, until next time, guys, we'll see you. Take care.